All right, guys, welcome to Module 2. This module is called Preparedness and IQ. Just to recap, in terms of the last module, it was, our three core principles were high energy, intense efforts, and then high level communication, right? Those three things will win us basketball games, and they have nothing to do with talent. And it's on us as coaches to integrate every single drill that we do to incorporate one of those three things. Most preferred is it incorporates all three of those things, right? And then we always let the kids know that's for us to win, that's what they got to bring to the table, right? Now, in terms of preparedness and IQ, this is what the coaches essentially bring to the table, right? As I mentioned in our practices, those three principles align with every single drill that we're teaching. But in terms of the preparedness and IQ, the next level is basically how we're teaching these kids to win games, right? I strongly believe the first three things that I mentioned, they will help us win games. Preparedness and IQ is what's going to allow us to win championships, right? And we're going to go through some of the sets that we have, right? So as a head coach, the first thing you will learn is literally every second of practice matters. It matters a lot. As a head coach, I've been doing this for like almost 15 years. You'll notice as a head coach that coaches that have been doing this for a long time, they're very, very serious, right? Because rep basketball can be very competitive. We want to make sure the kids are always having fun, but it is highly competitive, and winning matters because at the end of the day, if we have a team that is losing a lot of games, even though the parents might enjoy the team, if they're losing a lot of games, essentially we're going to lose a lot of that talent the next season. Teams that are winning, a lot of times that talent isn't going anywhere. So winning really, really does matter to our organization, right? And it's obviously called finesse basketball. You cannot have a jersey that says finesse basketball and suck at basketball, right? Finesse is saying that we're good. So it really matters that we're putting out quality teams. So now, to get into preparedness and IQ, every single practice matters because you're working on sets constantly, and you're working on how can the kids be able to move the basketball well enough where we can basically dismantle teams. So our style as a team, we want to be able to pick up full court. We want to be able to get out and run. That's our primary style. But if teams are good at getting back in transition, we have to be a really good half-court team. And to be a really good half-court team, the basketball's got to move, body's got to move, guys got to cut, set screens, etc. This is going to be integral because once you guys eventually get to playoffs, most teams are going to get really good at getting back on defense by that time. So it really does matter that we can play both ways, right? So when you get into playoffs, typically the game slows down, and that's why it really matters that the kids are mastering their fundamentals, their passing, their cutting, their footwork, all of that stuff, while allowing them to still be creative at the same time, right? So here's our sets that we have. Motion high is a man-to-man offense. It is a man-to-man offense. It is against, on defense, 11 means man-to-man. That's part of our defensive communication at Finesse Basketball. Motion low you can use against 11, which is man-to-man, or you can use against a 2-3 zone. Right, but typically if it's a 3-2 zone you're going against, the slot guy doesn't cut through. Okay, runner is a zone set, so runner is against a 2-3 defense, right? And then we have blender. Blender is against 11, a man-to-man defense. It's a 5-out. It's a really, really cool offense, blender. And then 1-4 flat is against 11. I like to use 1-4 flat typically when it's like an end of clock situation. I mean, like end of quarter situation or game winner situation. 1-4 flat is amazing for that. And then we have horns 1 and then we have horns 2. Okay, in the beginning of the season, the most important sets that your teams have to have is motion high and runner, right? They need to be able to play against a man-to-man, and they need to be able to play against a runner, against a 2-3 defense. Right, a lot of these teams really, really love to play 2-3, so it does matter that they can play both. If you can have these two sets down pat, you can play in pretty much any game and be successful, right? You will see further in the season, you'll see some teams switch it up. I actually forgot to add one thing. You'll see some teams, you can zoom out, you'll see some teams switch it up where they'll hit you with a 3-2, right? Which is fine because in the beginning of the season, if they do that, that's going to be something you can practice for, right? But if they hit you with a 3-2, or motion low, you can use, motion low is for a 3-2, but it's also against this. It's also against a 1-3-1, right? Motion low is against a 1-3-1. Your next step, once they learn motion high and then runner, so this is, I'll probably say this is number 1 to learn, right? Let me actually put that in another color, right? So in terms of motion high, this is your first set, the first offense your team needs to learn, motion high. You can zoom in, right? The second thing is, after motion high, once you learn motion high, the next one you want your teams to learn, zoom in fully, Praveen, is runner. This is your second offense you want your team to learn, right? And then the third offense you want your team to learn is motion low. So motion low against a 3-2 or a 1-3-1, this is the third offense, right? And you really only want to move on once they've kind of mastered those two, right? Then you can go motion low, right? And then the next ones, blender, which is the 5-out, the 1-4 flat, horns 1, horns 2. Depending on where your team is at, depending if they have a couple seasons with you or it's their first season, you can decide which one of these sets you want to add on, right? But blenders, again, it's a really cool 5-out set. It's amazing, especially if you have quite a bit of guards. 1-4 flat, horns 1, horns 2. I give the coaches the flexibility to add these sets, dependent on need, right? Again, 1-4 flat is really good for end of game situations. Blender is a really good 5-out against man-to-man. And then horns 1, horns 2, you guys have the flexibility. But again, keep it super simple. We want to learn motion high first in our offense, runner second. You want to work these stuff every single day into your practices. And then motion low would be third, right? And then after that, you have full flexibility, right? So in terms of this last module, in terms of the preparedness and IQ, again, the better your kids are prepared for different situations, they're prepared against man-to-man, they're prepared against 3-2, they're prepared against 2-3, they're prepared against 1-3-1, they're prepared. We also have press break offenses, right? They're prepared against the full court press, they're prepared against the half court press. The better, and this is on us as coaches, the better we can make sure our kids are prepared, and the better IQ and reads that we're giving them live in-game situations, that is what causes teams to have championships, right? So we prepare them every single practice. I don't waste a second of my practice. But then if you're a coach and you can make the read on the fly in games and your kids have practiced it enough where it feels like second nature, that is what allows teams to be able to be successful, highly successful, and go for championships. Okay, so that is our course for Module 2, Preparedness and IQ. This is what you are responsible for as a head coach at Finesse Basketball.